Few months ago, captured on a relative's cell phone during their family's Thanksgiving celebration. 11-year-old London Wilson, dancing, laughing, and full of
that I am going to kill y'all.
This is the story of an 11-year young girl, London Olson. A horrific day comes in the life of London Olson, and everything is finished. How? Let's see in detail. On a quiet Thursday afternoon, something horrific unfolded in a home on Firethorn Road. Officers rushed over after a 911 call about a cardiac arrest. Inside, they discovered an 11-year-old girl, London Olson, lying lifeless, with blood around her mouth and bruises on her small body. Tragically, she wasn't the only victim. The bodies of 4 pets, a dog, 2 cats, and a rabbit, were also found. Do like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. In the midst of this devastating scene stood London's mother, 34-year-old Kiona Dillon, who made a chilling confession. She had killed her own daughter. According to Dillon, she did it to teach her daughter a lesson about telling the truth. But as the officers pressed for details, the explanation took a darker turn. She rambled about exposing child sex rings, then veered off into conspiracy theories that sounded alarmingly disconnected from reality. Her statements were jumbled, unsettling, and impossible to ignore. Investigators wondered, was this an unthinkable act of rage by a mother who had lost touch with reason, or was something else driving her actions? The more Dillon spoke, the more questions arose. She claimed that London had lied and needed to face the consequences, but nothing could justify the gruesome scene the officers were now documenting. Why had Dillon felt compelled to kill the family pets first? And what exactly was this so-called truth she demanded from her daughter? As investigators tried to untangle Dillon's motives, they realized this case went beyond a simple confession.
A Baltimore County mother is facing charges in connection with the killing of her 11-year-old daughter. According to police, 34-year-old Kiona Dillon is charged with first-degree murder.
It pointed to a complex web of fear, control, and possibly delusional thinking. When detectives dug deeper, they found that Dillon had allegedly beaten the animals on the night before London's death. Each pet's life was ended in a vicious manner, as if to warn London about what awaited her if she kept withholding whatever information Dillon believed she was hiding. The sheer cruelty behind these acts indicated a twisted pattern. Dillon was determined to use violence to extract something from her child. Though no one could confirm what that something was, it felt more like paranoia than fact. A bizarre accusation soon emerged. Dillon was convinced that London had been involved in an inappropriate relationship with the father of her other 3 children. Yet, investigators quickly discovered there was no evidence to back up this claim. No physical proof of abuse, no witnesses, nothing. It appeared to be entirely in Dillon's mind. That revelation led detectives to focus on Dillon's psychological state. Was she suffering from genuine delusions? Had she constructed a false reality so convincing that she believed her daughter posed a threat? As the investigation progressed, officers began to piece together the final hours of London's life. The pets were killed one by one, each death serving as a grim message to the terrified girl. Dillon insisted that London tell the truth or face the same fate as the animals. However, the truth, as viewed by her mother, lacked any factual basis. When London failed to produce evidence of the imagined wrongdoing, Dillon escalated her violence in a tragic sequence of events that ended in her daughter's death. Disturbing details of Dillon's confession only magnified the horror. She reiterated that killing London was an act of teaching, a lesson to make her child honest.
the girl's mother, 34-year-old Kiona Dillon, now charged with her murder. According to charging documents, investigators finding bruises on London's neck and arms, as well as blood around her mouth, nose, and hands. They also found a plastic drain cleaner on the floor that they believe Dillon used to strangle her daughter. She was acting erratically and said groups of people were trying to set her up. She also believed London was in a relationship with the child's father and admitting to killing 4 of the family's pets to show her daughter what would happen to her if she didn't tell the truth.
Investigators struggled to reconcile this cold justification with the evidence at hand. They recognized the hallmarks of severe mental distress, but also saw premeditation in how Dylan targeted the pets first. This cruel pattern suggested a shocking mixture of planning and delusion, an individual fully aware of her actions, yet operating under distorted beliefs. Amid this turmoil, Dylan's behavior during questioning created new challenges for the authorities. One moment, she calmly answered direct inquiries, almost taking pride in her confessions. The next, she launched into frantic monologues about transgender groups, secret plots, and shadowy conspirators. Her unstable demeanor made it difficult for detectives to distinguish fact from fiction. Was Dylan truly lost in a labyrinth of paranoia, or was she manipulating the situation to obscure her guilt? Despite her erratic statements, investigators stayed focused on the tangible facts. There was no forced entry, no sign that London had suffered any prior abuse from outside sources, and absolutely no indication of the bizarre scenarios Dylan described. It became clear that her claims about her daughter's supposed lies were unsupported by any evidence. Law enforcement officials began to suspect that Dylan's mind might be fractured by untreated mental health issues, creating a reality where she felt justified in committing such a tragic act. As word of London's death spread, the community recoiled in disbelief. But the heartbreak didn't end there. Reports emerged that Dylan's sister, London's aunt, had repeatedly reached out to child welfare agencies, trying to warn them that something was terribly wrong. She made call after call, only to be directed from one department to another. Help was always just out of reach. Finally, a welfare check was arranged. Yet by then, it was too late. London was already gone.
Cried, and we called, and we cried, and we sent videos, and we sent emails. And that little girl died in this basement because nobody listened.
Nobody.
And everybody that saw it and didn't say it's on YouTube.
In the end, the release of the balloons.
We love you, London.
Symbolic of London leaving.
This revelation shook both the investigators and the public. It highlighted not only the brutality of the crime, but also the failures of a system meant to protect vulnerable children. Had someone acted faster, had officials responded more decisively to the aunt's pleas, London might have been saved. Grief mixed with outrage as people questioned how many warning signs went unnoticed.
May the investigators be your angels, dear God. May the police be your angels, dear God. May the legal system be our justice, dear God. Thank you.
The aunt, in her sorrow, became a voice for every concerned family member who feels ignored by overburdened agencies. As Dylan's case moved toward trial, the legal battle began to raise even more disturbing questions. She insisted on defending herself, claiming an indigenous sovereign status, and insisting that her DNA was gathered without permission. From the start, she refused the services of a public defender, although her mental stability was already in doubt. These actions caused many to wonder if she truly comprehended the magnitude of her crime, or if she was still caught in a delusional world where her bizarre accusations made perfect sense. The judge, seeing her strange behavior, ordered a psychological evaluation to assess Dylan's competency. Observers inside and outside the courtroom were torn between seeing her as a cold-blooded killer or viewing her as a mentally ill person who had harmed her child due to irrational beliefs. If she was found incompetent, would she avoid the full penalty for her actions? And if she was deemed sane, how would the defense explain her chilling decision to kill 4 pets and then her own daughter? In the background, the aunt's haunting words echoed. I kept calling. I begged them to help. No one listened. The deeper the community looked into the case, the clearer it became that London had slipped through the cracks. The tragedy was not merely a personal failing, but an institutional one. Social services, law enforcement, and family support systems all seemed to have missed the signs that something was terribly amiss in the Dylan household. This realization cast a harsh light on a society that often fails to protect its most vulnerable members until it's too late. While the court scheduled hearings and psychological assessments, public interest in the case grew.
A lot of emotions going right now. I know this sweet child. I've always gave toys to every child on this block, and she's the only one that said thank you. I'm just devastated. I'm devastated.
That pain that we go through is real, and just to have the community rally behind us, people that we've never met, but they were in London's lives, it speaks in volumes, and just let us know that we aren't here alone.
It shouldn't have happened, but we're here to support the family and to celebrate the life of London.
May the legal system be out. Justice, dear God. Thank you.
People demanded answers. How could such a horror occur? Why was a mother's clear distress overlooked by those who might have been able to prevent a child's death? The final outcome of the trial would determine whether Dylan was held fully accountable, but many also argued that accountability extended to the agencies that hadn't responded in time. In the end, this heartbreaking story was about more than just the guilt or innocence of one individual. It was about a system and a community that had the chance to intervene yet somehow failed to do so. The fate of Kiona Dillon rested on whether her mental health evaluation would confirm her capacity to stand trial. The fate of the broader system rested on whether it would learn from its mistakes, so that the next child at risk might receive help before it's too late. As the trial date approached, the tension in the courtroom and the neighborhood grew palpable. People hoped for clarity, some measure of justice, or at least a commitment to real change in how authorities handle red flags. But no matter the verdict, one devastating truth remained. A bright young life had been cut short, leaving the community grappling with grief, regret, and the painful knowledge that it didn't have to end this way. Please share your views in the comments section.